Good afternoon and good evening, everybody. This is Venkatesh here, and I'll be moderating this session. So, very warm welcome to all the participants. Just another half a minute. We'll just be starting the proceedings and the roundtable. I hope everybody has been keeping safe. Today's session, we'll be talking about the strengths and opportunities in the food processing sector. Your Excellencies and all the August gathering here, the guests, just bear with me for a minute. Yep, so sorry about the delay, everybody. And once again, warm welcome to all the viewers who've joined in. And we are here today for the UAE India Business Roundtable on Strengths and Opportunities in the Food Processing Sector. I'm Venkatesh Sharma, and I'll be moderating the session. And with me, I have an esteemed panel of speakers today. And right here, of course, we have the opening remarks, which would be by His Excellency Major General Sharafuddin Sharaf, who's the chairman of UAE India Business Council, and also the vice chairman of the Sharaf Group. We also have His Excellency Mr. Pawan Kapoor, who's the ambassador of India to UAE. Welcome, sir. And post that, of course, we would have the address by the ambassador of UAE to India, which is His Excellency Dr. Ahmed Abdul Rahman Albana. And followed by that, we have the keynote address by Shri Gautam Reddy, the Honorable Minister for Investments, Infrastructure, Industries. And there has been, of course, a slight change. So we have also Shri Zulfi Rabji, who is the advisor to the Chief Minister of Andhra Pradesh and special representative to the Middle East and Far East countries. And we also have in the agenda a presentation on the industrial landscape of Andhra Pradesh, which would be by Shri Karikal Valavan, who is the Special Chief Secretary to Government Infrastructure, Investment, Industries and Commerce. And finally, we have a presentation on export opportunities in Andhra Pradesh by Shri Subramaniam, who is the Commissioner Industries, Commerce and Export Promotion, and also the Chief Executive Officer of the Andhra Pradesh Economic Development Board. So with that, I hand over for the opening remarks to General Sharaf. Over to you, sir.
His Excellency Shri Mikapati Gautam Reddy, Honorable Minister for Investment, Infrastructure, Industries, Commerce, IT, Skills, Development and Training, Government of Andhra Pradesh. His Excellency Mr. Zulfi, Honorable Advisor to Chief Minister of Andhra Pradesh, Your Excellency the Ambassadors, and Excellency the Secretaries. Good afternoon, everybody, and greetings to all distinguished delegates who are present here today. It is an honor and privilege for me to welcome all of you at this industry roundtable on the strengths and opportunities in the food processing industry of Andhra Pradesh. On behalf of the UAE India Business Council, UIBC, and on my personal behalf, I would like to take this opportunity to express my deepest appreciation to the government of Andhra Pradesh for co-organizing this important roundtable with us, for enhancing the bilateral cooperation between the two countries, as well as to understand and explore the opportunities available in food processing domain in Andhra Pradesh. India and UAE, natural partners under the comprehensive strategic partnership, have benefited from each other's support in the face of COVID-19 pandemic. Both countries have always emphasized the strength of collective efforts to fighting this pandemic, and UAE and India have set a new standards in implementing this cooperation. UAE and India enjoy robust ties across the political, economical, social, and cultural spectrum, and their trade lies at the heart of this bilateral relationship. These ties are based on a shared vision for development, peace, and prosperity. UAE-India ties have entered an exciting era of growth and both nations are on the path to significantly reinforce two-way investments in major infrastructure projects through multiple channels and new areas of collaboration, such as artificial intelligence, food security, blockchain, mutual security, health, and space. The bilateral relationship have gained further momentum from time to time with exchange of high-level visits from both sides. The mutual visits of the leaders and officials of two countries and ever-increasing levels of trade, economic and cultural exchange are a powerful indicators which stand witness to the strength of bilateral relations in various fields. We at Sharaf Group have been encouraged by our leaders and their high-level visits and have extended the scope of our investment into India multifold, especially over the last 3 years. I'm delighted to be speaking here at this UAE India Industry Roundtable, which proposes to offer a bird's eye view on the great opportunities available in the state of Andhra Pradesh for enhancing food trade and collaboration with the UAE in food processing, value chain and contract farming, infrastructure development, including development of logistics and integrated cold chains, mega food parks. While UAE and India enjoy a strong partnership in the food sector, there are many untapped opportunities, and this partnership is currently at inflection point, and we must leverage our complementaries to achieve the common goal of strengthening food security, creating substantial models of food production, bringing efficiencies in logistics to minimize turnaround times, to reduce wastage and create new paradigms which will help address global challenges in the sector. UAE's investments into food parks and the entire supply chain will improve certainty of supplies and improve productivity and efficiency in the Indian food sector landscape. Today, we know that there is a huge opportunity for India to become a major partner in the food security initiative of the UAE. We as an investor have already started to put into place our business plan for not only providing logistics services, but actually committing our investments on the ground in India to build multi-modal logistics facilities, including rail depots, and operating our own rail and road equipments with cold chain facilities to add substantial value to Indian perishables and agri-products. UIBC is the official joint business chamber set up by both the governments for promoting economic synergies between the UAE and India. UIBC aims to create an exclusive bilateral trade environment between UAE and India by linking businesses from both the countries and supporting long-term commercial partnership for developing a strategic relationship between government and business from the both countries. Through numerous activities and engagement, UIBC has been regularly engaging with the governments, industry, and other stakeholders on different areas that address challenges and create opportunities for its member companies in the UAE and India. Whether you are an Indian firm with an eye towards the UAE market or a UAE company seeking new market opportunities in India, UIBC is your interface for any questions and support requisite. And we invite you to join the Council to make us a key partner in your global businesses. With these words, I would like to conclude, and I am hopeful that the interaction would be beneficial from both ends to elevate, upscale, and mature a strategic and nurture a strategic plan for a long-term engagement. I wish to convey my profound appreciation to the speakers for their kind presence. Last but not least, I would like to thank all the participants for taking out their valuable time to attend this roundtable. I wish all of you a productive meeting and good outcome. Have a great day. Thank you very much to listening to me.
Well, thank you so much, General Sharaf, for the lovely opening remarks. And now I would request the Ambassador of India to UAE, His Excellency Mr. Pawan Kapoor, to give his welcome remarks, please.
Thank you very much. Sri Zulfi Ravzi, I'm advisor to the Chief Minister of Andhra Pradesh. My good friend, His Excellency Dr. Ahmad Al-Banna, the Ambassador of UAE to India. Major General Sharfuddin Sharaf, Chairman of UIBC, other distinguished colleagues from the Andhra Pradesh government, and dear friends. It gives me immense pleasure to join this conversation on potential business and investment opportunities in the state of Andhra Pradesh in the food processing sector. I think most of you are already aware that India's strengths in agriculture are many and diverse. We have the second largest amount of arable land with an area of and 127 diverse agroclimatic zones. This gives India global leadership in agricultural produce. Many of our agricultural products like basmati rice, spices, mangoes, guavas, papayas, and okra are known for their excellent quality across the globe. India is the second largest producer of rice, wheat, fish, fruit, and vegetables, and is also the largest producer of milk. India's food ecosystem offers huge opportunities for investment, with stimulating growth in the food retail sector, favorable economic policies, and attractive fiscal incentives. The food and grocery market in India is the sixth largest in the world. The Government of India, through the Ministry of Food Processing Industries, is also taking necessary steps to boost investments. India is the most preferred investment destination in food processing sector where 100% FDI is permitted. The government has sanctioned 41 food parks under the Mega Food Parks scheme, 22 of which are operational and 15 are under implementation. Of the 22 operational parks, 2 are located in the state of Andhra Pradesh and 1 more is under implementation. While you will hear in detail about Andhra Pradesh's potential, I'm sure from Sri Zulfi Ravji and other colleagues from the Andhra Pradesh government who are experts in the subject, I would just like to say that the state of Andhra Pradesh is one of India's leading producers of agricultural products. It is also home to more than 16,000 food processing units, commodity-based cluster projects, multiple agricultural export zones, and cold chain-related infrastructure to support and add value to the state's agricultural product. The state offers a comprehensive set of advantages for food processing companies looking to establish their footprint in India. As you just heard, General Sharaf also spoke about India's relationship with UAE being a multifaceted one, with deep engagements in trade and investment, tourism, food security, culture, science, technology, defense, and even space. Our focus is continuing to further strengthen our comprehensive strategic partnership, even while we explore new areas of cooperation. And I should mention that both food security and healthcare have emerged as important sectors of growth during this pandemic. India has been a trusted partner for the UAE in terms of meeting its food requirements. And right through the pandemic, we consistently supplied UAE with food products through an uninterrupted bilateral air cargo route, despite the lockdown in India. In the coming years, we expect this cooperation to further deepen, including through the establishment of dedicated food corridors, which will become another pillar of our bilateral relationship. I think it's relevant to mention here that the UAE itself attaches strategic significance to its food security objectives. While the UAE is still heavily dependent on imported food and imports nearly 90% of its food requirements, it is considered stable when it comes to food security. In fact, as per the Global Food Security Index of 2019, the UAE jumped 10 places to reach 21st position out of 113 countries. And over the last 1 year, I have witnessed personally the determination of the UAE leadership to ensure through its Food Security Committee an increased focus on domestic food production where possible, as well as diversification and establishment of reliable food chains. And I think this is where we have a very specific opportunity. And I hope that it is in this context that today's roundtable should give all participants a flavor of the potential opportunities for investments in food processing in the state of Andhra Pradesh, as well as an understanding of how Andhra Pradesh can also become an important source of food procurement for the UAE. I thank you for your attention.
Thank you so much, Your Excellency, Mr. Pawan Kapoor. And now I would request Shri Zulfi Rawji, advisor to the Chief Minister of Andhra Pradesh and special representative to the Middle East and Far East countries, to kindly address the participants.
Thank you very much. Respected His Excellency Mr. Pawan Kapoor, Ambassador of India to UAE, His Excellency respected Mr. Albana, Ambassador of UAE to India, respected Excellency Major General Sharfuddin Sharaf, Honorable Minister who is not able to be available because he's on urgent election duty with the Honorable Chief Minister, so I am taking his place. Respected Special Chief Secretary Mr. Karikal Waliwan, Srimati Poonam Malkondaya, and Shri J. Subramaniam, Director of Industries and Andhra Pradesh Economic Development Board. Firstly, I would like to thank our beloved Honorable Chief Minister Y. Jagan Mohan Reddy for his exemplary leadership, guidance, encouragement for growth of industries and all-round development in AP. I welcome all the participants on behalf of the Honorable Chief Minister and the Government of Andhra Pradesh and all our dear friends who are online today on this webinar. Also, we would like to applaud the tireless efforts of the UAE's Minister for Food Security, Her Excellency Mariam bint Muhammad Sayed Harib Al Mehri, for her visionary leadership in the areas of sustainable and innovative farming and driving UAE to be a thoughtful leader in global food security index. In November, our team from Andhra Pradesh, headed by the Special Chief Secretary Srimati Poonam Malkondia and I, and a lot of others, visited the visited Dubai for the Gulf Food Festival, which was beautifully done, in which we had a lot of response for people to put up food processing industries in many types of food processing industries, from meat to confectionery to everything in the state of Andhra Pradesh. I would also like to congratulate the Embassy of UAE in India for doing exemplary work with the vision of strengthening the bilateral bonds and building a stronger business relationship with the Government of India. We concede and appreciate the recent announcement regarding upcoming investments about $7 billion as part of UAE's food security program in India. At this juncture, I would appreciate you that the state of Andhra Pradesh is one of the fastest growing economies in the country and the most favored destinations for investments. We are ranked for the last 3 years by the World Bank for the best in the ease of doing business in India. This itself shows how aggressively our Honorable Chief Minister is trying his best to bring AP to become the number one in the map of India for all this food processing industry. Our state is called the Food Bowl of India and is a major contributor for India's growth in agri and food processing sector, as the states top the country in aquaculture, horticulture, agriculture, dairy, poultry, with 16,000 food processing units and 6 operational ports and a coastline of 974 kilometers, which is huge. We were very kind. Recently, we had interaction with the Alana and IFCO group of the UAE, who have confirmed to have put up a very big meat processing and food processing unit in Kakinada, and also have agreed and start another food processing unit in the state of Andhra Pradesh in the district of Kurnool, both with about $100 million in both the things, for which we are holding the hands. We are also holding hands with Al Dhara for sourcing about 500 metric tons of rice per month, mangoes, bananas, etc. from Andhra Pradesh. We believe that with the fast-growing markets, favorable policy of the state, investor-friendly ecosystem, robust infrastructure, availability of required raw materials, our state has a huge potential for agri and food processing, which can be explored immensely. This interaction would be beneficial from both ends to elevate, upscale, and nurture a strategic plan for long-term engagement. I assure you of the highest support from the Honorable Chief Minister and the Government of AP and the Economic Development Board, who is led by a dynamic young man. For any investor interested in putting up food processing units in AP without any hassle, I mean, the minute you want to come, we will be moving 10 steps ahead to welcome everybody. Apart from this, as I am a special representative for Middle East and Far East, not only for food processing, I also request you all from the UAE to come to AP in many other projects. We'll be welcoming you with open hands, and we are there to assist you in every way. And our special chief secretaries are very, very positive and very, very dynamic, and will help you all to put up everything in the state. With this, I thank you all for attending, and please pass it on to the Sri Karikal Walian or the next speaker, whoever Mr. Venkatesh says. Thank you so much for hearing me, and so kind of you all to be here. God bless you all.
Thank you so much, Mr. Rauji, for the wonderful introduction there, and of course, showcasing Andhra Pradesh as the destination. And why not? It has everything going for it. So I'm sure the participants too would be very keen to set up something jointly with the government of Andhra Pradesh.
Thank you,
May
sir.
I now request, absolutely, may I now request the ambassador of UAE to India, His Excellency Dr. Ahmed Abdul Rahman Albana, to kindly share his thoughts and views and take over.
Thank you very much. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh. Good afternoon, everybody. Excellency Shri Zulfi Ravji, Advisor to the Chief Minister of Andhra Pradesh. Your Excellency, my colleague, Ambassador Pavan Kapoor. Excellencies, panelists, ladies and gentlemen, first of all, I would like to thank the government of Andhra Pradesh, Economic Development Board, and the UIBC, UAE India Business Council, for organizing this important platform. A platform that is at this time, during the pandemic, before the pandemic, and after the pandemic, is a sector where we need to look into and we need to explore the best ways and means to increase our bilateral relationship. It's a unique virtual interaction at the most opportune time to address and deliberate on one of the most pertinent sector and crucial for any economy, food sector and food processing. Over the course of today's interaction, I hope that we can reach with some solid major ideas, and we can actually look into how we're going to implement it in reality. The bilateral ties between UAE and India have scaled to never seen before. Strategic level in the recent years, trade and investment have been the cornerstone of our multifaceted bilateral partnership. UAE stood as India's third largest trade partner for the 7 consecutive years in the year 2019-2020. The overall bilateral trade between UAE and India to 2019-2020 reached to about $60 billion. If we compare with the very near past, in 1985, the total bilateral trade was $185 million. And today we are $60 billion. To put this into perspective, 2019-2020, UAE alone accounted for about half of India's total trade with the GCC countries, and 71% of India's overall export to the GCC countries. Agriculture commodities trade is one of the most strongest contributors to this growing trade volume between the two countries. Owing to its strategic location, connectivity, UAE has emerged as India's agricultural product gateway to the Middle East and a wider region. Just as India's value the UAE as a trusted energy security partner, the UAE looks at India as a reliable food security partner. To set this and look at a little bit of figures, I said, I thought to myself that I need to share some of those figures with you. UAE stood at or as third largest export market for India's fresh onion. In 2019-2020, UAE stood as India's largest export market for fresh mangoes and dairy products. UAE is also an important partner for India for the export of its sheep, goats, meat, and processed meat, and it is one of the largest in the region. Lastly, India is an important country for UAE for sourcing its rice. 2019-2020, UAE stood as India's fourth largest export market for basmati rice and third largest export market for non-basmati rice. I thought it's very important to share with you those figures to show you the importance of the food sector and the bilateral trade between UAE and India, specifically in the food sector. Now, shifting our focus to the current pandemic, as my colleague, Ambassador of India, Excellency Pavan Kapoor mentioned, that during the total lockdown of everywhere in the world, India, UAE, everywhere, we still had special flights. Our air cargo operation never, ever stopped operating between UAE and India. And there was a big movement of course, foodstuff and perishables and all that, including, of course, other products like pharmaceuticals and so on. So although COVID-19 affected us in so many different ways, but in the food sector and the transport and the logistics of the food sector, and I'm sure my good friend, my brother, General Sharafuddin Sharaf knows the importance of that, since they are deeply involved in the logistic and transport of most of those products from India to UAE. The challenges concerning food security have been intensified by COVID outbreak, but nevertheless, to find innovative and sustainable solutions to building more different, efficient, inclusive, and resilient food system is a must. The COVID-19 taught us a lesson in many different sectors, and we need to look into that, and we need to look and see in the future, in case, God forbid, anything of that sort happens, then what will be the best means and ways of handling it. Last year, the Nobel Peace Prize for 2020 was awarded to the World Food Programme, WFP. The move represents a global win for food security and a clear evidence that the world acknowledges the importance of the issue. Sustainable practice across the entire supply chain and advanced agricultural technologies have become indispensable for achieving global food security, specifically during the COVID-19 pandemic. Food wastage is another important aspect we need to look at. It's an issue of importance to global food security and the environment. Speaking about food wastage, a staggering 69 million tons of food is wasted in India every year. This can primarily be attributed to lack maybe of warehousing facilities, logistics, transport, storage, inadequate supply chain management, and the use of primitive technology at certain times. This sector in India desperately needs a paradigm shift with the introduction of sophisticated technology, artificial intelligence tools, and large-scale investment in integrating supply chain and advanced logistics, including construction of warehouses with cold storage facilities and related matters. I strongly believe this is where the UAE could step in and form a meaningful, strong collaboration with India. Realizing this, in 2018, the UAE and India commenced working together on what we call farm to port project, with dedicated logistic infrastructure along the supply chain for the shipments to the UAE from the farms in major 3 Indian states. And these studies are almost finalized, and there are certain actions that has been taken from our part, and there has been some change of hats, and the Abu Dhabi authorities through Al-Dhahra and Abu Dhabi Investment are looking into this to revitalize this and see what will be the best way of implementing that. With indicative investment of about $7 billion to develop the UAE-India food corridor, this is one of the most landmark joint initiatives undertaken by the 2 countries, with several projects already identified, as I mentioned, and specifically in the food security, and to be on the track of making steady progress and at the earliest. The corridor is expected to benefit more than 2 million farmers in India and create an additional of more than 200,000 jobs across the country. The ambitious corridor is yet another instance of the dynamism that at the core of that the UAE pursue in the bilateral collaboration with India. Another recent collaboration in this sector was under the umbrella of AgriYota, a sophisticated blockchain-powered agri-commodity trading and sourcing e-market platform aimed at bridging the gap between millions of rural farmers in India and the UAE food industry. The UAE also welcomes the Indian government recent announcement on the Production Link Initiative, PLI scheme, in all major sectors, including the food processing sector. This policy change, in my opinion, will be a game changer and is likely to have a multiplier effect on trade and investment. The UAE has one of the world's most comprehensive plans to address food and food security. And His Excellency Shri Zulfikar Abji mentioned our Minister of Food Security and the programs that has been put by that ministry and the collaboration that is taking place between UAE and India on that level. UAE and Andhra Pradesh could form potential partnership in innovation, technology-driven areas such as agri-technology, vertical farming, supply chain management, all power tools such as agri-commodities platform, and many others. Together, we can achieve so much more I cannot wait to see UAE and India deepening their ties in this sector specifically. It is my firm belief that this is the time. Tested partnership is to achieve greater heights and lead the world by example in the post-COVID-19 era. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you once more. I would like to thank the organizers, Government of Andhra Pradesh, UIBC, for organizing such an important platform, and I hope everybody health and wellness. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Your Excellency. That was a wonderful talk there, and some amazing figures too. And certainly both the countries and Andhra Pradesh, the state of Andhra Pradesh in particular, holds a lot of opportunities and a lot of advantages for any investor. And I'm sure all those who are tuned in would be keenly waiting. I would also request all the participants who are logged in to please ask your questions if you have any. You can post them in the chat box, which is available right next to the video player. And we'll be happy to take them on. And if the time doesn't permit us to take on all the questions, we will certainly be in touch and get back to you, with your queries and address them. So moving on, I would now request a presentation by the Special Chief Secretary to the Government of Andhra Pradesh, Infrastructure, Investment, Industries and Commerce, Shri Karikal Balavan, to present on the industrial landscape of Andhra Pradesh. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Venkatesh. So, good afternoon to all of you. His Excellency, the UABC Chairman, Sarafuddin Saraf, Ambassador Pawan Kapoor, His Excellency, Ambassador of India to UAE, His Excellency Dr. Ahmed Abdul Rahman Albana, Ambassador of UAE to India, Honorable Minister, who is not able to join, but our special representative, respected Julfi, and my colleagues, Srimati Poonam Malakondaya and Subramaniam, and other participants. So very good afternoon to all of you. Thank you for organizing this roundtable on the strengths and opportunities in food processing sector, global prospects, and especially the opportunities available in the state of Andhra Pradesh. I would like to briefly talk about the infrastructure ecosystem which has been developed over a period of time in the state of Andhra Pradesh for the industries to flourish. Will be followed by the presentation by my colleague on food processing sector, followed by another presentation by my junior colleague Subramaniam on export opportunities. As Ambassador Pawan has put it, the relationship, the bilateral trade relations between India and UAE has been cordial all through. And the participation of the state of Andhra Pradesh in this trade relation is substantial. Our diaspora, the Telugu diaspora in the UAE is very strong, doing a lot of businesses over there. In fact, the industrial policy of the state of Andhra Pradesh has set the trend for industrial growth in the state of Andhra Pradesh. The main focus of our industrial policy is to provide strong administration, strong administrative support, strong infrastructure support to the industries, and to stand by the industry, handhold the industry throughout its life cycle. In fact, that is our strength. We have a very strong administration under our Honorable Chief Minister, young and dynamic, Sri Jagan Mohan Reddy Garu. Under his leadership, the administration has been strengthened up to grassroots level. So the administration, the seamless integration of administration to all levels will help the industry to get the approvals quick, and also to do the operations with smooth. In fact, the industrial policy's basic objective is, apart from giving ease of doing business, and also to reduce the cost of doing business, so that the businesses become competitive by giving infrastructure support and logistics support. If you see the overall picture of Andhra Pradesh, we are the 8th largest state in the country, and our GSDP stands at 138 billion US dollars. We have a long coast, that is our strength. The basic, the economic activity happen along the coast line, the long coast. The per capita income is higher than national average, 27% higher than the national average. And rapid urbanization is taking place due to rapid industrialization. So the urbanization will happen once the economic activity is widespread. The urbanization today we stand at 35%, and we expect to reach 50% by 2025. And in fact, the industrial parks, the industrial infrastructure, we have a very large number of parks in the state of Andhra Pradesh. The overview, if you say any industry to come into the state require land, water, power, and connectivity. In fact, our state of Andhra Pradesh have got a very long, road connectivity, national highways and state highways, and we have a good rail connectivity. In fact, Andhra Pradesh is considered as gateway to south. So that way we have good rail connectivity and air connectivity. 7 operational airports, out of which 3 international airports are there. And we have 6 operational ports. And another 4 more ports are coming up, seaports are coming up. And if you see the industrial corridors, in the whole country, we have 11 industrial corridors, out of which 3 industrial corridors are passing through Andhra Pradesh. And we have reliable power, 21 gigawatt power capacity we have, 24/7 power we'll be able to provide. And the water allotment, out of 10% of the total water resources available is allotted to industrial requirement. And we have a good ecosystem for knowledge economy. We have large number of technical institutes, large number of engineering colleges, ITIs, ITCs. Apart from that, we are developing 30 new skill development centers, and we are planning to have 1 skill university exclusively for high-end skill development. And if you see the time taken for providing industrial connectivity or industrial approvals is very less. The construction permits are given across the table. It's an online permission. An electricity connection within 15 days. And labor relations are very good. Our industrial relations is very, very cordial. That is the history. And we have a seamless system of incentive sanction and incentive disbursement. And if you see the advantage, why AP? So these are all well known, but still I have to brief you, because the companies have participated, more than 30 companies are participating in this webinar. Ease of doing, constantly we have been number 1. Consistently we have been number 1 in the past 3 years. And approvals, as per our commitment, within 21 days, we commit to provide approvals. But in fact, it is happening within 11 days. On an average, within 11 days, the approvals are being given. Large number of MSME, very strong and vibrant MSME sector we have. Nearly 83 to 84% of the application which we entertain are from MSME sector. The inspection is regularized. So we have a joint inspection. So inspection happens annually, once only. So all the departments, all the 5 departments go together. A joint inspection takes place. The raw material allocation also happening online. be it coal or ethanol or whatever the industrial requirement raw material which is being done online. So that way the burden is getting reduced. And the burden of compliances, already we got it reduced by 70%. So the compliance requirement is reduced by 70%, and fees also got reduced by 40%. As I briefed you, it's well connected. Andhra Pradesh has been well connected globally, a national level and international level. We have long coastline, deep drafts, we have direct shipping calls. So the increased connectivity to hinterland gives scope for industrial development. You see the air connectivity, the passenger traffic has increased from 1.1 million to 5.4 million. And it will increase further because one new airport has been recently commissioned at Kurnool, which is nearer to the industrial corridor, which is nearer to the industrial node at Kurnool, Urvakal, a place called Urvakal. So that way, one international airport is being developed in PPP mode at Visakhapatnam. Another cargo airport is being developed at Nellore. So that way, large number of airports are getting, are being developed, and the passenger traffic is increasing. And almost all the airports will like to have the cargo facility. The port connectivity, in fact, the state ports next to Gujarat, we have large number of state ports. Nearly 15 state ports have been notified, out of which 6 have been developed. Another 4 is under development. The capacity of each port is crossing more than 50 million. And right now, we have nearly 170 million cargo is being handled by state ports and one major port at Visakhapatnam. The 3 ports, our target is by 2030, we should reach 300 million. So that is our target. And we are also developing 8 fishing harbors. These fishing harbors are crucial because they are being developed as mini ports. The fishing harbors will have coastal shipping berth and coast guard shipping berth. So this coastal shipping berth, it assumes importance because the logistics cost will get reduced by coastal shipping. And you will have roll-on and roll-off facility. So all the 8 fishing harbors and 10 ports will have this coastal shipping berth. So that way, the transportation, the lorry transportation can happen on these barges, roll-on, roll-off. So thereby, the cost of logistics cost, the transportation cost will get reduced substantially. And as I briefed you, the industrial corridors, namely VCIC. VCIC is the first East Coast Industrial Corridor notified by Government of India. So that is passing through our state. The whole entire coast has been covered from Vizag to Chennai. Vizag to Chennai, the entire coastal line has been covered by this VCIC corridor. Nearly 5 nodes are being developed, out of which 3 nodes is under development. Another 2 nodes will be taken up shortly. Same way, we have Chennai-Bangalore Industrial Corridor. So 2 nodes are being notified in that, out of which 1 node is under implementation. Then we have Hyderabad-Bangalore Industrial Corridor, where again 2 nodes are going to be developed, and out of which 1 node is taken up for master planning. So each node will have nearly 10,000 to 12,000 acres of land. It's a large land bank will be available under each node. So these nodes will provide world-class infrastructure, will provide all external infrastructure, thereby giving ease of doing business for the industries to come and establish their factories over there. So that way, the advantage of AP is in connectivity and logistics, providing good logistics and providing good connectivity. And good research network is there. And we are also going to bring out a startup policy very soon. The startup policy will provide innovation, incubation, and financing support, the fund of funds support, the equity support will be provided by the government. So thereby, the industrial growth is is definitely will be a focus for our Honorable Chief Minister, and our state is highly concentrating on this industrial growth. Basically, the YSR AP1 is the concept which we are developing. Very soon it will be launched, under which it is basically a one-stop shop for any industries to come into the state of Andhra Pradesh, where all provides us market support, financial support, logistics support. So all kinds of facilitation will happen at YSR AP1 Center. So with this, I'm thanking the Honorable the ambassadors of both the India to Mr. Ambassador Pavan and Ambassador Albana for giving us this opportunity. And I also request the industries who are participating in this seminar to kindly explore the possibilities of investing in the state of Andhra Pradesh. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Karikal, for that wonderful presentation. And I'm sure all the participants who are logged in would clearly see the advantages the state of Andhra Pradesh, brings to the table. So you have fantastic infrastructure. You have, everything which is available, ranked number one in the ease of business for the past 3 years. And also logistic support. It has the second longest coastline in the country. So it's everything there with and a very, very stable government, of course. So with that, I would now invite our presentation on export opportunities in Andhra Pradesh by Shri Subramaniam, who's the Commissioner Industries, Commerce and Export Promotion and Chief Executive Officer of the Andhra Pradesh Economic Development Board. Over to you, Mr. Subramaniam.
Thank you, Mr. Venkatesh. His Excellency, Mr. Pavan Kapoor, Indian Ambassador to UAE. His Excellency, Dr. Albana, UAE's Ambassador to India. His Excellency, Major General Sharaf, Chairman of the UAE India Business Council, and our Andhra Pradesh team led by Mr. Zulfi, Advisor to the Chief Minister of Andhra Pradesh, and our beloved Special Chief Secretary, Industries, Infrastructure, Commerce, Shri Karikal Vallavan, and more than 150 plus representatives of various companies participating in this seminar. So let me take this opportunity to welcome you all again for this webinar organized by the UAE IBC and the embassies and with APEDB. So let me take this opportunity to just quickly present you the opportunities on the food processing ecosystem due to the non-availability of our special CS agriculture. Andhra Pradesh, as the speakers before me have told, is the real food bowl of the country. And we are number one in many agri and agri-related sectors. We are the number one on aquaculture, the number one on horticulture, number one on poultry, and many food products which are part of the food security mission of UAE figure out very prominently in this entire landscape. So as Dr. Albana, His Excellency, the Ambassador to India was mentioning, we would keenly be partners in this journey of becoming the food security partner for UAE, and Andhra Pradesh government can play a very important role in this important partnership. So on the whole, we have got about 15 million metric tons of food grains production, 18 million metric tons of fruits, 7.7 million metric tons of vegetables, and 1.7 million metric tons of spices produced in this very state, and a huge food processing infrastructure with cold storages, market yards, pack houses, and ripening chambers. I'm also happy to share with you that this very state exports more than 45% of the marine products which are exported out of India goes out of Andhra Pradesh. So that is the kind of export prowess and the kind of potential that this state beholds in terms of the partnership on the food security with the UAE. Now, quickly on the, as I said, it's 46% of 46% of exports, shrimp exports goes from AP. So which means that we have a huge coastal corridor, a huge marine emphasis which is there. More than 33,000 square kilometers of continental shelf. Almost 1.3 lakh aquaculture farmers and more than 2 lakh acres under marine fisheries and aqua cultivation. So this is the kind of prowess that this state beholds. And what eventually happens is there are food parks, of course, out of the mega food parks that are sanctioned in by Government of India. Two food parks have come up in Andhra Pradesh. One is the Mallavalli food park that you see in Krishna district, multi-product food park, and the other is the Srini Mega Food Park, which is in Chittor. But as you see, the entire landscape of the state is dotted with food parks, being a food bowl of the country. And the other food parks have come up with private partnership and with active support from the government of Andhra Pradesh. Now, this is, if you ask me what activities these companies are involved in these food parks, they range a range of products, be it shrimp and fish processing, spices, rice, organic foods, and many others. So these are the marquee investors which are present. And today we have an opportunity to interact. We have a representative from Alana also speak on behalf of the state. So what are the opportunities available for the companies participating? It can be the value add opportunities in various products, be it the primary, secondary, and tertiary processing. So it can be in mango processing, tomato, fish and shrimp processing, and chili. We are a major. And with the PLI scheme, His Excellency the Ambassador, Indian Ambassador, was speaking on the production linked incentives scheme of Government of India. So this provides a huge opportunity to dovetail the PLI scheme with the processing capabilities and opportunities that are there in the state. Now, these are the food processing backward linkages which have been provided, which many companies have taken up, be it the Mondelez, which is Cadbury's, and Future Group, Jain Irrigation. So all these have taken up backward integrations. And Araku coffee is known for its geographical indicators, and it is very well known across the world. So these are food processing backward linkages which have already been explored, and many more to explore for companies looking forward. Now, how this was possible? Purely because of a host of agrarian reforms that has been taken place in the state of Andhra Pradesh. This is a state which boasts of farmers' production and productivity and happiness. So we have we are a state which have done a scientific calculation of how the farmers' incomes actually doubles up and moved in the direction. Almost 10,000 plus RBKs, these Raitu Bharosa Kendras as we call it. These are nothing but a kind of farmer centers wherein all value chain, be it in terms of inputs or outputs or marketing, all are provided at one place. And this is a confidence building measure for the farmers. And we are heavily invested into agri-tech and agri-infrastructure also, which is leading to not only the higher productions and productivity at the state level, but also with the higher incomes for our farmers. Now, we have also come up with a food processing policy recently, AP Food Processing Policy of 2025, where a host of financial incentives are given, be it the investment subsidy, the GST reimbursement, power cost reimbursement of 1 rupee, and many others. Anyway, the presentation would be shared by with all the companies, so you can have the leisure of going through. Since we are running late, I'm just rushing through. Also for companies, most of the food processing majors have generate employment more than 2,000. So for the people generating more than 2,000, there are tailor-made incentives which are available under the policy. Now, quickly on what are the opportunities that we can collaborate on? What could be the export potential and where UAE stands vis-a-vis AP? I'll just quickly take you in the next 3 to 4 slides. What are those potential? In fact, we have done the homework for you and probably trying to present you a more refined picture. So AP's exports are almost about $14 billion, and out of which 25% of those 14 billion are food processing exports, either the raw material or the processed foods. So, and out of which marine products, of course, top the entire export basket, and also rice, spices, and cotton contribute a whole lot of stuff for our export basket. But if you see, most of it is going towards US, Belgium, some towards Netherlands, but UAE, if the green mark that you see in between, we are somewhere in between. So we can, if we collaborate, we can directly move it to the fourth quadrant where the US is currently figuring in, and also Saudi Arabia, where there is. I think the Gulf countries as a whole holds a huge potential for collaboration here. I'll show you which products have a collaboration for, and we deeply respect the food security strategy of UAE in terms of the 18 food products that have been earmarked for the food security mission, and we have a potential in more than 7 to 8 of these products that you are looking at, and fisheries is one thing which I've already spoken. And but if you see the export potential of the state, I just took 50% of the production of meat, cereals, fruits and nuts, vegetables and shrimp. Even from a mere sourcing point of view, if you see the kind of quantities which are imported by UAE, 18 million metric tons get imported, meat gets imported. But if I go by a sheer number of how much it would take if 50% of it is for export surplus, then more than 4,000 lakh metric tons is available. Similar is the case with cereals, fruits and nuts. 1663 metric tons is imported by UAE from AP, whereas if I take 50% of the production capacity of AP on fruits and nuts, it's close to almost 87,000. So similar is the case with vegetables and fish and shrimp. My single point of showing this slide to all of you is that there is a huge sourcing opportunity for the products that are of interest to UAE, and we have the production capacities which are already inbuilt into the system. So quickly, we did a comparison with what UAE imports from the world and what UAE imports from AP and what AP exports to the world. So just to show you, crustaceans, 222 million USD of worth imports are done by UAE from world market on crustaceans, whereas only 1 million USD goes from Andhra Pradesh, and 302 million USD is what we have done to other countries. So which means this beholds a chance for companies to look at AP for the sourcing and for the export market also. Similar is the case with paddy. Paddy, we are, as I told you, we are a food bowl and we are a rice bowl of the country. 529 million USD of paddy imports into UAE from the world, but whereas it's only 2 million USD from AP. So whereas we have done to other countries 243 million USD. So this gap is something probably we can look at bridging very quickly, so that this sourcing and export and import balance can be brought in, and we can have joint ventures set up with our exporters who are dealing on these products. Similar is the case with tobacco, animal feed, processed fruits, sauce and essence food preparations. So for the paucity of time, I would not go into each one of these, but these are opportunities, potential product lines for UAE entities. Now, how we have done it, more than 10,000 exporters in the state of Andhra Pradesh, and we have a complete dedicated export policy and an export promotion cells. So this is something which we can easily collaborate even at the state and at the sub-district level. So quickly, this would be my last slide. On the production linked incentives, what His Excellency has spoken, Government of India has set aside a budget of almost 10,900 crores in the identified product lines of RTEs, ready to eat and ready to cook, and marine products, and mozzarella cheese, organic eggs and poultry meat, wherein these products, even if manufactured for domestic produce or for export market, so which means that if you are producing here and exporting to UAE, then also these incentives would apply for almost 4 to 10% of your total base production every year for 5 years period would be reimbursed. 4% of the turnover, 4 to 10% of the turnover would be reimbursed to the companies who are achieving these production levels for a period of 5 years. So it's a huge opportunity for the companies to manufacture in India and also to export from India. So with this, I invite all the participants for a technology transfer, be it on AI or agri-tech, or even on diversifying your product baskets in sourcing, or on improving the quality standards, or if you are looking at integrated sourcing, we can also provide you suitable vendors for trade. In all, we are in support. The AP government as a whole will support the UAE's food security program. And with this short note, I also request our representative from Alana, Dr. Fonglan, General Manager from the Alana Group, to briefly mention about their experience in Andhra Pradesh, post which we can have the Q&A session open for the floor. Dr. Fonglan, please.
Well, thank you so much for that lovely wrap up, if I may say so, to this roundtable. We have questions also which have been coming in. And the question is from Lieutenant Commander Ravi Reddy, who's saying, what are the strengths of UAE in aqua product processing? So who from the panel can we have the answer from? So I'll leave it to the floor, whoever can answer that. What are the strengths of UAE in aqua product processing?
Well, let me handle part of this, and maybe both my colleague Ambassador Kapoor can participate if he wants, or General Sharafuddin. The UAE, let me explain one thing. UAE is set in a geographical proximity where it covers a big, huge population, over 2 billion. Now, although we are a major center for almost everything in terms of import, export traditionally, and then the other sectors. Whether the latest, we talk about energy, and we talk about renewables, and we talk about IT, and we talk about cyber, and so on, and the classical sectors. Now, the networking that we have in the UAE, be it in Abu Dhabi or Dubai or Sharjah or other Emirates, or within the free zones that we have created, be it in Abu Dhabi or Dubai or Sharjah or other Emirates. There is a big, huge presence of international companies. There is a big, huge presence of UAE companies that are ready to join venture with their counterparts, whichever sectors they might be. So if the person is asking whether these kind of things, and whether specifically in the aqua are networks and ventures and business ventures and investments are there, I would say yes. Now, if you have any specific requirement in reference to a specific thought or a specific project or a specific investment, you're more than welcome to get in touch with our offices, and we'll provide you with all the information available with us. Thank you.
If I may add also, UAE, Dubai had before 2 weeks the the Gulf Food Exhibition, even when this pandemic, there was a big presence from many international companies. India, as His Excellency said, participated, Andhra Pradesh participated in that food exhibition and showed the importance of this sector for the UAE market. Now, in UAE, there's a lot of end users and international manufacturers for various products, especially for food. So the food sector has got huge importance, and there are a lot of raw materials imported from various parts of the world. India is one part of that, and there are raw materials produced locally. So if the person who's asking the question is indicating about the availability or all the facilities here and presence, and is there more need for that? Yes, there is. And that's why UAE is going for international market for food security, and first market that we are knocking door is India. And as my good friend, His Excellency the Ambassador indicated, we have got a big market here that comes, and the good thing is here that investors from all parts of the world, they can invest openly themselves without having any partnership. They can bring their knowledge, know-how, and their food production from their home country to be processed here in better environment with all the facilities available. I hope that is my question is answered. This question is answered. Thank you.
Absolutely. I think that's a very detailed answer. We have another question from Mr. Ajit Singh, who is asking, we are looking to invest in food processing in India. Can we have the concerned person to contact us and get the details? So surely, Mr. Ajit will certainly do that. We'll pass on your details to the concerned officials, and we'll be more than happy to help you with any queries that you might have and assist you further. So while the questions are coming in, but I think we have also exceeded the time, that was allocated to the roundtable. So I would like to take this opportunity to thank each and every one of you, the ambassadors of India to the UAE and the counterpart, ambassador of UAE to India, and Mr. Raju, and all the officials, and of course, all the participants who logged in here for this roundtable. I hope we were able to provide you with the information and also the motivation, more importantly, for why you should choose